everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. My name is Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from British Columbia, Canada. You can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. And if this is the first time you found me, welcome, and please take the time to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if it's not the first time, welcome back, and I hope you've already taken the time to subscribe. In any event, if you subscribe, you'll be notified when I do post a video tutorial or when I go live, and I'd love to have you be one of my subscribers. All right, today I want to show you how to make a bendy card, and I am using the Waves of the Ocean bundle and product suite that has been just released from Stampin' Up. It is a pre-release from the upcoming annual catalog, so the stamp set and dies will carry over. The designer series paper foil and the rhinestones are only available while supplies last through May 2nd of 2022. They are stunning, and if you don't have these in your stash, you're going to want them. But in any event, if you don't get them, certainly the bundle with the stamp set and dies will carry over, and you'll find them in the upcoming annual catalog. I love these bendy cards. They're kind of fun to make, and so I decided the Waves of the Ocean was a perfect product suite, and I shared it as part of the International Highlights blog hop today. So if you haven't seen that blog hop, take a look. You can vote for your favorite cards. I hope mine will be one of them. The link to my blog hop will be underneath this video. So let me switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. All right, here's my bendy card. Isn't this cute? And you can see it stands like this, and it's called a bendy card because it bends in the middle, I guess. And it actually looks three-dimensional. So I've got some waves on the front that I've cut out using the foil and the dies. This adorable pelican who's standing in the middle, and then some birds and clouds in the background. Just really pretty. Now, I have not put something on the back to write on, but you can absolutely put some basic white cardstock on the back so that you can write your sentiment or your note to whoever this is going to. All right, let me show you how to get, well, first of all, let me show you the Waves of the Ocean. Let me just take this out. I have some glare. So this is the stamp set. It's this great wave. I'm not using this one. I'm using the dies. This pelican that is just so cute. And then some great sentiments. And then the dies, oh, my dies are kind of all over the place. The dies that go with them are these two big wave dies that you can cut out the wave shapes, and that's what I've used. Two sentiment dies, one larger than the other. Fit the sentiments in the stamp set. And then you have two clouds. Oh, no, that's not a cloud. This one, a big cloud and a little cloud, or a smaller cloud. Some extra wave pieces, and I actually think these fit in the clouds as well if you want to give some texture to your clouds. And then some seagulls. Now, these look really tiny, but they're not actually as small as they look. So those are the dies that come in the bundle. Oops. And then, of course, this pelican that you can cut out, and I'm going to use that. I've got this sitting aside because I'm going to actually stamp the pelican and use it. All right, so that's the bundle. Now let's bring in all of my supplies. So for this, now if you miss some of these, because there are a lot of pieces, all of the written instructions and measurements for my card are on my blog. So you can hop over to my blog and get all of the instructions for this. But you need a piece of cardstock, and I'm using Pacific Point. This is cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm scoring this at 2 3/4. This will be the bend in the middle. So that's scored at 2 3/4. And then you need 2 pieces of, this is this gorgeous foil, and it might be a little hard to see, but this is the Coastal Cabana. The foil comes, you get 6 sheets, 2 of each, 1 in Pacific Point, 1 in silver, and 1 in Coastal Cabana. So all of my background for mine, behind the DSP, I've added a little bit of foil. So this is 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. And you need 2 of those pieces. And then this is some of the designer series paper. It is absolutely stunning in Pacific Point, Coastal Cabana. Some of the sheets have Daffodil Delight, Petal Pink, Calypso Coral, and Granny Apple Green. Just so, so pretty. So these pieces, you need 2 of them, are 2 1/2 by 4. Again, don't worry if you're missing some of these measurements. You can go to my blog and find them. Now this is the middle insert. So this is Pacific Point, 2 inches by 4 3/4. And we're going to score this at 1/2 inch. And, oh, just a sec, 1/2 inch, 2 inches. Let's see, I'm going to be 1/2 inch from both ends. And then I'll figure out what the middle one is. I think this is, so it's 3 3/4. So 1 1/2, 1 3/4. So 1/2 inch, and then 2 1/4. Yeah, 1/2 inch, 2 1/4, and then 4 4 1/4. 1/2 inch, 2 1/4, 4 1/4. All right, and then you need 2 pieces of Coastal Cabana foil. These are both cut 1 5/8 by 1 7/8, and then 2 pieces of Designer Series paper that are cut 1 1/2 by 1 3/4. Just a little, you're just getting a little peek of the foil. And then for the bottom piece, you're going to take a piece of Pacific Point, and this is 1 1/4 by 6 1/2. And you're going to score this at 1/2 and 6. So you've got just a little bit. This is a 1/2 inch on each end to fold over. And then you've got a piece of the Coastal Cabana foil that is cut 1 1/8 by 5 1/2. So this goes all the way across. And then a piece of Designer Series paper that is 1 inch by 5 1/2. So let me show you how all of these go together. Okay, so let's start with the background piece. So this again was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is scored at 2 3/4. So then you can take your, whatever you like to use as your adhesive. I'm using the multi-purpose liquid glue. Stampin' Seal works just as well. I just seem to be in a habit these days of using the liquid glue. Just gives you a little bit more wiggle room. All right, so just let that. Now you do have to kind of wait for that to start to adhere, because sometimes I go to move it away a little too soon and my paper shifts. So one of the tricks with this I've learned, because I haven't been always a fan of the liquid glue, is to not get a lot. Don't use a lot. You don't need a lot, and don't get it too close to the edge of your paper. And that way it won't kind of splodge all over out of the underneath. And that's what bothers me, to get glue all over my fingers. All right, so then these 2 pieces can adhere to each side of that score line. You could actually do 1 piece if you wanted to and score. I just think that by splitting it in the middle and then doing 2 separate sides to it, it just folds or bends a little bit better than if you tried to do it with all solid pieces without this break in the middle. All right, so there's your background. Isn't that pretty? This paper is just so stunning. Okay, now the next part. I'm going to put it all together here first. So again, this was Pacific Point, 2 inches by 4 3/4. It is scored at 1/2 inch, 2 1/4 inches, and then 4 1/4. I actually think that's not quite right, but no, it's not quite right. I have to figure this out for you. Sorry, I should have. Let's see. This ends up being 3 3/4. So I want this to be 1 1/2. This should have been 1 7/8. Sorry about that. So you're scoring this. The written instructions will have the correct measurements. Again, this is 2 inches by 4 1/4, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and then add 1 7/8 to that. 1 7/8. is there. So you would score it so at 1/2 inch and then 2 3/8, just off by just a little bit. There we go. Got my scoring blade. All right, so again, this is 2 inches by 4 3/4. It's scored at 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 7/8, and then 4 1/4. So let's fold that middle bit on the right score line. There we go. Now I've got it in half. I won't see that. So now these pieces, again, you're going to put your designer series paper piece on. So this piece was 1 1/2 by 1 3/4, and you're adhering it to the foil that is 1 5/8 by 1 7/8. A little bit of glue, and then this can adhere to my designer series paper like that. And then this piece. This paper is so pretty, you're going to have a hard time deciding on what side of it to use because it is just so pretty. Lots of options with this. It doesn't actually have to all be waves. You might, not think, I don't live by the ocean or a lake, but the paper is so pretty that you can use it for all sorts of things. All right, and then this piece goes here. Okay, so now with this piece, this bend is in the middle. So again, let me get my bend. I'm going to take my bone folder and just give it a little bit of a burnish here on this middle one. There we go. So this bend, this one, the bend was like this. So the bend is towards the back. This one, the bend is forward, and you're going to fold these 2 flaps towards the back. And what you want to do is line up your score line and put this about 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So I'm lining this up with the bottom, and this score line is aligned. Now I'm going to use tear and tape just because this tends to be a piece that moves, and so I just want some extra hold to it. So you could use Stampin' Seal Plus, or you could use tear and tape. Either of those work really well when you want some extra hold. And I'm trying to find my tape pick tool. There it is. Take these off. Okay, so these flaps fold towards the back, and we're going to line up that with that score line in the middle, with the middle score line on the back piece, and it's about, say, 3/4 of an inch or so from the bottom. So that adheres, and so now you've got the start of your bendy fold with this piece folding out and that piece folding back. Okay, now the bottom piece. I've got a piece of Pacific Point that was, what did I say, 1 1/4 by 6 1/2, and it is scored at 1/2 inch and 6. So again, these 2 pieces, these 2 flaps are going to fold back. And then I've got a piece of the Coastal Cabana foil that is 1 1/8 by 5 1/2, and then this piece of designer series paper is 1 inch by 5 1/2. So we'll adhere these 2 pieces. And these I've lined these up with the edge. There we go. That, and then this piece will adhere onto the front of this flap, again, right up against the score lines. Like that. Okay, and again, I'm going to use tear and tape. So a piece of tear and tape along the two flaps. Got my glue so it doesn't clog up. All right, so take these off. Again, these flaps fold back like that. And so this is now going to adhere lined up with the bottom corner. So right up against this left corner edge and the bottom. So the side and the bottom and the flap. Press down on the flap. And then this one will just come over and adhere to this other edge. Like that. And this one will, actually it folds nice and flat. But so this now doesn't get a score line in it and is just kind of a bit of a curved shape to it. So there's your card base. So once you've got it, then you can see it's got some dimension to it and 3D effect to it. All right, so now let's start with our pieces that we need. The first thing we're going to do is stamp this great seagull. So I'm going to just grab the stamps I need. Let's see, another block. Okay. So we've got the pelican. Did I say seagull? If I did, I meant pelican. Anyway. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to use Tuxedo Black Memento. And actually, I don't want a happy birthday. I'm going to use the thank you. The theme of the blog hop is thank you. So let's use the thank you. So I'm using the On the Horizon. It's a bit hard to see. This is the On the Horizon stamp set. And it's got this thanks for everything stamp. So I'm going to stamp this here. I'm going to cut this out. I just wanted something a little bit smaller. You could stamp and then use one of the dies from the Waves dies if you wanted to, but I just wanted something a little bit smaller and narrower. There we go. Isn't this pelican cute? Okay, so let's cut the pelican out. I'm just going to use a little bit of piece of Post-it note tape. You can use a Post-it note just to adhere this so that it doesn't shift when I run it through. And I will bring in my Stampin' Cut. This is the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And these amazing little machines are on sale for 20% off, as well as a whole bunch of the bundles that fit. So this bundle, I don't know if this one's probably not on sale because it's brand new, but there are a bunch of bundles that fit perfectly in this. This is only 3 inches wide. And so not all of the dies will fit in this machine, but there are a lot that do. So it's on 20% off through the end of March. Okay. We can take the Post-it note off. There we go. Put my die back so I don't lose it. Just before I started this video, I was cutting some pieces out in preparation. And of course, what did I do but drop a die, 2 dies, and wasn't sure I was going to find one of them, but I did, thankfully. Okay, so we're going to use some dimensionals, and we are going to pop our pelican up on this middle set of kind of blocks here in the middle. Okay, there we go. Got a cute pelican. And now I've gone ahead and cut out these. These are the wave pieces I've gone ahead and cut out. And I've also cut out some of these individual waves. And then I cut out 3 of the clouds. And get them, 4 of the little seagulls. There we go. You may not be able to see these seagulls on the white. Okay, so let's actually, we'll leave those till later or in a minute. But for now, let's put the clouds on because they go on the very back piece. So we're just going to use a little bit of glue. And we'll put this piece here, this cloud. And then these clouds can go over on the side, the other side. That. You could use, if you wanted to cut these pieces out and use the adhesive sheets behind them, and then you wouldn't have to use glue. And particularly with these little birds, that probably would have been a very good idea if I had attached a little piece of adhesive sheet, and that way you've got the adhesive already on there. But I'm just going to try and use just a little bit of glue. Let's see. And we will put some of these cute little seagulls. I'm using my silicone mat, and just because I don't like to get the glue all over my grid paper, because I'm not very good. I seem to always get too much of the liquid glue on my piece. And we'll just put that in there. There we go. I'm only going to put 3 birds on. I don't seem to have room. I'll save that bird for something else. There we go. Okay, so I've got my background. So the next pieces to go on are these great waves. So I have gone ahead and cut these out of the foil. So this one is cut out of the Coastal Cabana foil. As I said, there is Pacific Point as well, but I decided I like the Coastal Cabana. So that's the wave in Coastal Cabana. And then this is the wave. So there are 2 different wave dies, slightly different configuration. I guess that's the right word. So they kind of overlap each other nicely, and you can see both of the colors behind each other. So I'm just going to use just a little bit of glue on some of the pieces. Let's see, I'm going to put my silver one on first. Now remember, this piece is only adhered to the bottom, this 1-inch strip. So you don't want to put glue too high up on here, because it's only adhering to this bottom piece. And so I'm just going to line this up with the Designer Series paper, just to give me something to line it up on. So the top part of my wave is kind of free floating. And then this wave, again, we will just put a little bit of glue on the bottom part of it. And we will line this one up against the silver one, or more or less against the silver one. And just hold it down until it starts to stick. Hopefully you haven't got glue on your fingers like I do. There we go. So now I've got my wave, and again, they're free floating up at the top. Okay, so the last thing, 2 last pieces that I need are these amazing. These are little pieces. You could use them on the, I think they fit in the way or in the clouds as well. But I've actually I wanted a little bit more color to my waves. So these are little pieces that I cut out of Pacific Point. And I'm just going to adhere them kind of onto over top of the bigger waves that I have, just to give it a little bit more color. This one is really tiny, so the adhesive sheets would have been really good for these. All right, and then we'll just put that. Just adds a little bit of color to my wave. There we go. Now, the last thing I want to do is I stamped my thanks, and I'm just going to take and fussy cut. I'm not going to use a label, a die. You could use a die, you could use a punch, but I'm just going to take and fussy cut around this. And we are going to pop that up with some dimensionals. So I've got some of the mini dimensionals, because this is quite a small piece. And I have a hard time with the mini dimensionals with my fingers. I don't know why. So I like to use my Take Your Pick tool to get them off of the sheet and then get the backing off. I think they're just tiny. So, and now this is just going to go on here. And this will also help hold your waves in place, because now you've got the adhesive from the dimensionals. Now, the last thing that I'm going to add on is these are the Rhinestone Waves Basic Jewels. They come 168 in a package. You get 6 different colors, all blues and the greens, Coastal Cabana. There are 3 different sizes, but you only get 4 of the large and medium, and then you get a bunch, and I don't know how many you get, but you get a lot more of the smaller ones. So we're just going to add, oh, there it is. My rhinestone went flying. Here we go. We're just going to add some rhinestones, because what's a card without some rhinestones? So we will add just 1 each of the I used a lot of my, okay, well, we'll do it this way. There we go. 3 of the large rhinestones. I'm going to have to order some more of those. All right, so there's your bendy card. Isn't that cute? I think anybody getting this would love to receive it. And it's just, I mean, with that foil, it's just so pretty because it's got that kind of blinginess without having a whole bunch of bling on it. All right. There we go. I hope you enjoyed that. If you do have any questions as you're watching this video, especially if you're going to make the measurements for the middle piece, because I kind of messed that up. All of the written instructions are on my blog. And if you do have questions, just leave a comment on my video or on my blog, and I'm happy to answer the questions and help you with your card. You can make these bendy cards out of all sorts of things. We did a bendy card, I think it was during our virtual launch in last August with the penguin stamp set and paper that was available in that catalog. So there's lots of ways you can use this fancy fold and create some really pretty cards that I know will just wow whoever's getting them in the mail. All right, everybody, thanks again for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you on my next video. Bye, everybody. Happy stamping.